At my cousin's graduation they applauded him endlessly while treating me like I hadn't moved forward a single inch. So I chose that moment to drop my own success story, and their applause turned into stunned silence. I'm sitting in my empty apartment at 2 a.m., and I need to get this out before I lose my mind completely. 3 months ago, I destroyed the best thing in my because I couldn't handle feeling invisible at a family gathering. Sarah deserves so much better than what I gave her. The whole thing started at my cousin Jake's college graduation. We'd been together for 4 years, engaged for 8 months. Sarah had driven 3 hours with me to celebrate Jake getting his engineering degree. She was excited to meet more of my extended family, kept asking about everyone would see there. The moment we walked into my aunt's backyard it began. "Jake, our graduate? Come here, son." Uncle Mike practically knocked people over to hug him. The whole family swarmed around Jake like he just won a Nobel Prize. Meanwhile Sarah and I stood there like furniture. My cousin Lisa brushed past me without even acknowledging I existed. "Tell us about job offer," she squealed. I'd gotten promoted to regional manager 6 months earlier, doubled my salary, but nobody had asked about that ever. Sarah squeezed my hand. "Maybe we should go say he." She always tried to smooth things over, make me feel better about my family's weird dynamics. We approached the circle around my throat. "Hey everyone, congrats Jake. Pretty exciting stuff." My aunt glanced at me like I'd interrupted a wedding ceremony. "Hi honey, Sarah, right?" She barely looked at my fiancé before turning back to Jake. "Now tell us about the signing bonus." More cheering, more clapping. Jake soaked it, grinning like he'd invented electricity. I stood there watching my family treat him like royalty while I might as well have been invisible. Sarah kept trying to engage people in conversation, asking about their kids, their jobs. They'd give her polite one-word answers then pivot back to Jake worship. "Remember when Jake built that robot in high school? Jake was always the smart one in the family. We knew Jake would do something important." Every comment felt like I'd been working my tail off for years, building my career, saving for a house with Sarah. But none of that mattered because I didn't have a cap and gown. That's when I saw her. Emma worked at the catering company my aunt hired. Blonde, probably mid-20s, with this way of looking at like we're the only person in the room. The complete opposite of how my family was treating me. She was refilling the drinks when she caught my eye. "Look like need something stronger than punch," she said with a knowing smile. For the first time all day someone was actually talking to me. "Have no idea," I muttered. "Family gatherings are the worst," she laughed. "Everyone's either bragging or judging. No in between." Sarah was across the yard, gamely trying to connect with my teenage cousins who kept checking their phones. She deserved better than watching me sulk. But I couldn't shake the bitterness eating at me. "I'm Emma," the caterer said, extending her hand. "David, the invisible family member." The words came out more bitter than I intended. Definitely not invisible to me. She held my gaze just a second too long. That should have been my warning. That little spark, that moment of feeling seen. But I was so hungry for someone to notice me that I didn't pull away. "So what do David, who's definitely not invisible? Regional manager at Morrison Industries. Just got promoted actually." It felt good to say it to someone who might actually care. "Wow, that sounds important. Congratulations." She touched my arm lightly. "See, some of us pay attention to success stories." The validation hit like here was someone who actually cared about my achievements, who saw me as more than just Jake's cousin. I should get back to work, but she glanced around, then leaned closer. "If ever want to grab coffee sometime, someone who appreciates success stories." She slipped me her number written on a napkin. I should have thrown it away immediately. Should have walked straight to Sarah and suggested we leave. Should have remembered that the woman I loved was 10 feet away, trying her best to fit in with my difficult family. Instead I folded the napkin and put it in my pocket. The rest of the party blurred past. More Jake worship, more feeling invisible. Sarah kept asking if I was okay and I kept lying that I was fine. On the drive home she was quiet for a long time. Finally, "Family's really proud of Jake." "Yeah, they are." I kept my eyes on the road, that napkin burning a hole in my pocket. "I'm proud of too, no. For everything accomplished." My throat tightened. Sarah had been there for every late night, every stressful deadline, every small victory. She'd celebrated my promotion like it was her own achievement. "I know I said quietly, but it wasn't enough. Her pride felt obligated, like something she had to say because she loved me. Emma's attention felt chosen, earned, special. I texted Emma that night while Sarah was sleeping beside me. "Thanks for the kind words today, made a tough afternoon better." She responded within minutes. "Anytime. Coffee this week." I stared at those words for 20 minutes before typing back, "Wednesday at 2. That was the moment. Not when I met Emma, not when she gave me her number. The moment I chose to text back was when I betrayed Sarah, when I prioritized my bruised ego over the woman who'd loved me unconditionally for 4 years. 3 days later, I was sitting across from Emma in a coffee shop downtown, telling it was just harmless conversation with someone who appreciated me. But I'd already crossed the line. I just didn't want to admit it yet. The coffee led to lunch the following week. Lunch led to longer conversations about how underappreciated I felt, how my family never saw my worth. Emma listened, validated every complaint, made me feel like the victim in my own story. "Deserve so much better," she'd say. "Someone who really sees how amazing are." I was so focused on feeling special that I didn't notice Emma never talked much about herself, never shared anything real or vulnerable. She was like a mirror, reflecting back everything I wanted to hear about. By our third meeting we weren't just talking about work anymore. She'd touch my hand across the table. I'd find excuses to lean in closer when she spoke. The whole time, Sarah's engagement ring was in my pocket because I'd started taking it off before seeing Emma. Just friends. I kept, nothing wrong with having someone who understands me. But I was lying to, just like I was lying to Sarah every night when she asked about my day, and I edited out the hours I'd spent with another woman. The real betrayal happened a month after Jake's graduation. Emma suggested meeting at her apartment because it was more private to talk. I knew what that meant. We both did. I sat in my car outside her building for 10 minutes, Sarah's contact photo staring at me from my phone screen. Her smile, her trusting eyes, the way she'd supported me through everything. I could have driven home. Should have deleted Emma's number and confessed everything to Sarah. Begged for forgiveness for even getting that far. Instead I went upstairs. What happened next doesn't matter for this story. The details aren't what destroyed the choice was. The choice to prioritize my go over my integrity, to betray the person who loved me most because a stranger made me feel important for a few hours. I came home that night and Sarah was waiting for me, worried because I'd been working late, so much lately. How was day? She'd asked, the same question she'd asked every day for 4 years. Fine. I lied, the same lie I'd been telling for weeks. But something was different in how she looked at me. Like she was trying to solve a puzzle she couldn't quite figure out. 3 weeks later she found Emma's number in my jacket pocket, not because she was snooping but because she was doing laundry and being the caring partner she'd always been. The confrontation was worse than any nightmare I could have imagined. Sarah didn't scream or throw things. She just sat on our couch, holding that piece of paper, tears falling silently down her face. Who is she? She whispered. I could have lied, could have said it was a work contact, a networking connection, anything. But seeing Sarah's broken expression, I couldn't add more lies to the pile I'd already built. Someone I met at Jake's graduation. The caterer. It wasn't a question. Sarah remembered everything, even the woman who'd been refilling drinks while she tried to connect with my family. Sarah, I can explain. How long? It was just, I started to minimize, to make it sound smaller than it was. But her eyes stopped me. 6 weeks. She doubled over like I'd punched her in the stomach. The ring I'd given her 8 months earlier, the ring that represented 4 years of building it together, caught the light as she covered her face with her hands. Why? The word came out broken, barely audible. I wanted to blame my family, blame feeling invisible, blame anything but my own choices. But sitting there watching the woman I loved fall apart because of what I'd done, the excuses crumbled. Because I was selfish. Because I wanted to feel important. Because I forgot what actually mattered. Sarah stood slowly, like she was in physical pain. I need to leave. Sarah, please. We can work through this. I'll never see her again, I'll do whatever. Already did. She pulled off her engagement ring and set it on the coffee table between us. 4 years, David. 4 years I supported, believed in, planned a future with. And away for someone barely know because she made feel special for a few weeks. The ring sat there like an accusation, catching the lamplight and throwing it back at me in broken pieces. I said desperately. Loved how I made feel. Just like loved how she made feel. But never actually loved me because if did, couldn't have done this. That was 3 months ago. Sarah moved out the next day while I was at work. Left her key on the kitchen counter next to a note that just said, I hope it was worth it. I haven't seen Emma since the day Sarah found out. Turns out when the excitement of being someone's secret wore off, she lost interest pretty quickly. Almost like she enjoyed the thrill of helping someone cheat more than she actually cared about me. My family doesn't know what happened. They still text Sarah sometimes, asking how wedding planning is going. I haven't had the heart to tell them there isn't going to be a wedding. The worst part isn't losing Sarah, though that's killed me every day for 3 months. The worst part is realizing that the whole thing started because I couldn't handle feeling ignored at a party. I destroyed a 4-year relationship, the person who loved me most, and lost my best friend because my ego was too fragile to survive one afternoon of not being the center of attention. Jake's doing great, by the way. Got married last month to his college girlfriend. My family's already planning the baby shower, because apparently he and his wife are expecting. I wasn't invited to the wedding. I'm writing this because I keep seeing posts from guys making the same excuses I made. My wife doesn't appreciate me. She doesn't understand what I need. I was lonely. It just happened. It doesn't just happen. Choose it, one small betrayal at a time. Choose to notice someone who isn't partner. Choose to enjoy their attention. Choose to keep their number. Choose to meet them. Choose to lie about where I've been. And when it all falls apart, choose to live with the consequences of prioritizing ego over integrity. Sarah found someone new 2 weeks ago. Saw them together at the grocery store. She looked happy in a way I hadn't seen her look in months before everything fell apart. Turns out she can smile like that again, just not with me. I stood in the cereal aisle watching the woman I'd planned to marry laugh at something another man said, and realized I'd traded the best thing in my for the temporary high of feeling important to a stranger. The comments on my last post hit hard. Some have called me exactly what I deserved to be called. Others shared own stories of betrayal from both sides. All of it was necessary to read, even when it felt like getting punched in the gut repeatedly. But I need to finish this story because what happened after Sarah left shows just how completely can destroy when choose selfishness over everything that matters. The first week after she moved out, I convinced I could fix this. I called her 17 times the first day. She didn't answer once. By day 3, her number was going straight to voicemail. I started texting her friends, her sister, even her mom, begging them to tell me how to make this right. Her sister Maya finally responded, made choice David. Now live with it, and stop contacting our family. That's when reality started sinking in. Sarah wasn't just gone from my apartment. She was gone from every part of that we'd built together. Our bank account was closed. Her name disappeared from our shared streaming services. The photos of us that had covered our refrigerator were gone, leaving behind pale rectangles on the white surface where our memories used to be. But the worst part was telling people. My boss asked how wedding planning was going during our Monday morning meeting. I mumbled something about postponing and changed the subject, but I could see the questions in his eyes. My mom called that weekend excited to talk about venue deposits and guest lists. Sarah mentioned wanting to do a destination wedding. Have too decided on somewhere tropical. I sat in my empty living room, staring at the spot where Sarah's bookshelf used to be and couldn't form words. David, honey, are there? Woo broke mom. The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. What happened? Two seemed so happy at Jake's graduation. Jake's graduation, where it all started, where I chose a stranger's validation over 4 years of love and partnership. I messed really badly. Mom started asking questions I couldn't answer without admitting what I'd done. So I lied again, told her we'd grown apart, wanted different things. Added another layer of dishonesty to the pile that was already crushing me. Work became a nightmare. Sarah and I had the same friend group, and word spreads fast in a small city. People who used to invite us to dinner parties and game nights suddenly got quiet when I walked into the room. Marcus from accounting pulled me aside one day. Dude, what really happened within Sarah? Jenny's been asking, but Sarah won't talk about it. The urge to defend was overwhelming, to paint Sarah as the unreasonable one, to make look like the victim. But every time I started to craft that narrative, I remembered her face when she found Emma's number. The way she folded in on herself like I'd shattered something inside her. I cheated on her, I said quietly. Marcus stepped back like I'd admitted to something violent. Jesus, David, why would— Sarah's like the perfect girlfriend. Everyone knows that. Everyone knew that. Everyone except me apparently, at least not when it mattered. The isolation got worse every day. Our mutual friends chose and they didn't choose mine. I'd lost not just my fiancé but our entire social circle. Weekends became endless stretches of sitting alone in an apartment that felt too big and too empty. I tried reaching out to Emma once, 2 weeks after Sarah left. Some pathetic part of me wondered if there had been something real there, if maybe the connection I'd felt was worth what it cost me. She didn't even remember my name at first. David, oh, the married guy from the graduation party. Engaged. I was engaged. Right, whatever. Look, that was fun, but I'm seeing someone now. Someone available. The call lasted 30 seconds. I destroyed a 4-year relationship for 30 seconds of awkward conversation with someone who barely remembered I existed. That night I found at a bar downtown, the kind of place where people go to disappear. I was 3 drinks in when I saw them. Sarah and her new guy. They were sitting in a corner booth sharing dessert, and she was laughing at something he'd said. Really laughing, head thrown back, eyes bright with genuine joy. The way she used to laugh with me, back when I was worthy of her happiness. I should have left. Should have paid my tab and walked out before they saw me. Instead I sat there watching the woman I'd planned to marry look happier than I'd made her feel in months. He was everything I wasn't. Tall where I was average, confident where I'd been insecure, clearly devoted to making her smile. When she got to use the restroom, he watched her walk away with the same expression I used to have when I still deserved her. She saw me on her way back to the table. For a moment, we just stared at each other across the crowded bar. She looked good. Better than good. She looked free, lighter somehow, like she'd been carrying a weight she'd finally been able to set down. That weight had been me. She walked over to my table, and I felt a surge of hope that maybe she wanted to talk, wanted to work. Her voice was steady, controlled. Looked terrible. I probably did. I'd been sleeping badly for weeks, barely eating, living on coffee and regret. Sarah, don't. She held a hand. I'm not here to rehash anything. I just wanted to say that I hope figure out whatever made think what we had wasn't enough. We're more than enough. I was just too unselfish to see it. She nodded slowly. Yeah, but that's not my problem anymore. I love. I said desperately. The same words I'd said the night she found out, the same words that hadn't mattered then and mattered even less now. I know think do. But love isn't a feeling, David, it's a choice. Every day, every moment, every time could someone or protect them. And chose wrong, over and over, for weeks. Her new guy was watching from across the room, not jealous or just concerned for her well-being. That's what real love looked like. Protection without possession, care without control. I have to go, Sarah said. Take care of. She walked back to someone who deserved her. And I sat there realizing that take care of was the kindest goodbye I was ever going to get from the woman I'd thrown away. The next few months blurred together. I into work. Staying late every night because going home meant facing the empty apartment and the choices that had emptied it. My promotion, the one I'd been so proud of at Jake's graduation, became just a way to fill time. The salary increase went toward the higher rent I now paid alone, the dinners for one, the streaming services that felt pointless without someone to share them with. I tried dating apps briefly, went on a few coffee dates with women who seemed nice enough, but every conversation felt hollow. I kept comparing them to Sarah or worse, waiting for that spark I'd felt with Emma. The artificial high of being someone's secret, someone's escape from reality. But there was no spark, artificial or otherwise, just polite conversations with strangers who could sense I wasn't really present, wasn't really over whatever had broken me. One woman, Jessica, called me out on it after our second date. You're still in love with X, aren't? It's complicated. No, it's not. We're wasting both our time pretending to be available when we're clearly not. Figure out before try to date someone else. She was right. I was still so consumed with what I'd lost that I had nothing genuine to offer anyone new. The holidays were the worst. Sarah and I had traditions, inside jokes, a whole mythology of shared Christmas and New Year's Eves. My family kept asking if I was bringing someone to gatherings and I kept making excuses about being busy with work. Jake announced his engagement at Christmas dinner. The whole family erupted in celebration, and I managed to smile and offer congratulations while dying inside. He was doing everything right, building something real with someone who trusted him completely. Everything I'd had and thrown away. When are going to find a nice girl and settle down? My aunt asked during dessert, the same aunt whose graduation party had started my downward spiral. I had one, I said quietly. Didn't work out. Jake looked at me with something that might have been pity. Sorry to hear that, man. Breakups are rough. If only he knew that calling it a breakup was like calling a house fire a small heating issue. I left the family gathering early, driving home through streets decorated with lights and love, past houses full of people who hadn't destroyed their lives for a few moments of feeling special. That night, alone in my apartment, I wrote Sarah a letter I never sent. Pages and pages of apologies, explanations that weren't excuses, promises I had no right to make. I poured everything onto paper. How sorry I was, how much I missed her, how completely I understood why she couldn't forgive me. When I finished writing, I realized something that should have been obvious months earlier. This wasn't about Sarah forgiving me. It wasn't about winning her back or making things right between us. Those possibilities had died the moment I chose to text Emma back, the moment I prioritized my ego over my integrity. This was about learning to live with the consequences of my choices. About accepting that some mistakes can't be undone, some trust can't be rebuilt, some love can't survive betrayal. I burned the letter in my kitchen sink and watched 4 pages of regret turn to ash. 6 months after Sarah left, I ran into her sister Maya at the grocery store. She was buying ingredients for what looked like a dinner party, her cart full of fancy cheese. David. She didn't sound hostile, just tired, like even acknowledging my existence was exhausting. How is she? I asked. Maya studied my face for a long moment, really genuinely happy, planning a trip to Italy with her boyfriend. She's learning Italian, taking art classes, doing all the things she used to talk about but never had time for. That's good, she deserves that, yeah, she does. Maya paused. Know what's funny? She's not even angry at anymore. She just feels sorry for, pity. The woman I'd planned to marry felt sorry for me, somehow that worse than her anger would have. She said something last week that stuck with me. Maya continued. She said she finally understood that cheating isn't about the other person, it's about something broken inside the person who cheats. And she can't fix what's broken in David, only can do that. Maya walked away, leaving me standing in the cereal aisle where I'd seen Sarah with her new boyfriend months earlier. The same aisle where I'd first understood the full weight of what I'd lost. But now I understood something deeper. I hadn't just lost Sarah. I'd lost respect for, trust in my own judgment, faith in my ability to make choices that aligned with my values. The betrayal had broken more than my relationship, it had broken me, and Maya was right. Only I could fix what was broken. The question was whether I was strong enough to do the work, or whether I'd keep making the same selfish choices that had cost me everything I cared about. Comments have been brutal and necessary. The guy who said, "Don't deserve sympathy, deserve consequences," was right. The woman who shared her story about discovering her husband's affair and how it destroyed her ability to trust anyone for years afterward. That gutted me because I finally understood I wasn't just Sarah's problem anymore. I was every future partner's problem too. But I need to finish this story because what happened next showed me the real price of betrayal. It's not just losing the person, it's losing. 8 months after Sarah left, I thought I'd hit rock bottom. I was wrong. Rock bottom was the day I found out Sarah was engaged. I didn't hear it from mutual friends or see it on social media. I heard it from my own mother, who'd run into Sarah's mom at the pharmacy and gotten the news along with photos of the ring. She looked so happy, David, radiant. Her mother said the proposal was beautiful, very romantic. They're thinking a fall wedding next year. Mom was trying to be gentle, but every word felt like a physical. Sarah had moved on completely. Not just dating, not just happy, but ready to promise forever to someone else. Someone who deserved that promise. That's nice for her. I managed. Okay. Maybe it's time started dating again too. There are plenty of wonderful women out there. But that was the problem. There were wonderful women out there. And I'd already proven I couldn't be trusted with wonderful women. I'd already shown that when things got difficult or my ego got bruised, I'd choose betrayal over commitment. What right did I have to inflict that on someone else? That night, I did something I'd been avoiding for months. I looked Sarah on social media. Her privacy settings kept me from seeing much, but her profile picture was enough. Her and her fiancé on what looked like a hiking trip, both of them grinning at the camera, her ring catching the sunlight. She looked genuinely, completely happy. But it was her bio that broke something inside me, living authentically, loving fearlessly, grateful for second chances. She'd found someone worth taking a risk on again, someone who'd earned back her ability to love fearlessly, someone who would never make her question whether she was enough. I closed the browser and poured a drink. Then another. Then several more. That's when I made the worst decision in a series of terrible decisions. I decided to drive to her apartment. I know how that sounds. I know exactly what kind of person shows at their ex's door 8 months after destroying their relationship. But I wasn't thinking clearly, wasn't thinking at all really. I just needed to see her, to tell her something, anything that might make the ache in my chest stop. The drive there is a blur of bad judgment and worse intentions. I sat outside her building for 20 minutes, watching her windows, trying to work the courage to go upstairs. That's when I saw them come home from dinner. Sarah and her fiancé walking hand in hand, laughing about something. She was wearing the dress I'd bought her for her birthday 2 years ago, the blue one that made her eyes look like the ocean. He was carrying takeout bags, probably dessert they'd gotten to go. They looked like what Sarah and I used to look like. Natural together, comfortable, happy. I watched them disappear into the building and sat there for another hour, finishing the bottle I'd brought with me, wallowing in self-pity and in the crushing weight of my own choices. Then I did the unthinkable. I went upstairs and knocked on her door. Sarah answered wearing pajamas, her makeup off, looking relaxed and content in the way people look when they're safe in their own homes with people they trust. When she saw me, that contentment evaporated instantly. "David, what are you doing here?" I could smell it on my own breath, could see the fear creeping into her eyes as she took in my state. This was not the man she'd once loved. This was a stranger, unpredictable and dangerous in his desperation. I heard her getting married. I slurred. Now. Her voice was steady, but I could see her hand gripping the door frame. I just wanted to say congratulations. And to tell that I'm sorry, so sorry for everything. Go home. I can't go home. There's nothing there. Took everything. That's when her fiancé appeared behind her. Tall, calm, protective without being aggressive. Everything I should have been for Sarah and never was. "Is there a problem here?" His voice was level, controlled. "No problem," Sarah said quickly. David was just leaving. But I wasn't leaving. I was standing in that hallway and pathetic, looking at the I could have had if I'd been a better man. "He's the one, isn't he?" I said to Sarah. "The one who gets the version of that trust completely. The one who gets forever." "David, stop. I could have been him. I was supposed to be him. We had plans, we had a future, we had everything. And I had away for nothing, for absolutely nothing." Sarah's fiancé stepped forward slightly, still calm but clearly done with whatever this was. "I think it's time for to go." "Don't understand," I said to him, desperation making me louder. "Don't know what have. She's perfect. She'll love through anything, support through everything, believe in when don't believe in. And better not her because of her I swear." "David." Sarah's voice through my rambling. "Stop, just stop." The look on her face wasn't fear anymore, it was disgust. Complete, total disgust at what I'd become. This is exactly why I can't be with. Not the cheating, not even the lying, this. The way make everything about pain, loss, regrets. The way show at my home and my fiancé while pretending it's about protecting me. Her words hit like physical blows because they were true. Every single word. Want to know the real reason I could never forgive? It's not because slept with someone else. It's because when I found out, first instinct wasn't to comfort me or take responsibility. It was to make the victim. To explain why did it instead of acknowledging what it did to me. She was right. Even now, standing in her hallway 8 months later, I was making it about my pain instead of her peace. And now we're here on the night I told my family about my engagement, making that about loss too. Can't let me be happy without making it about what lost. That's not love, David. That's possession. Her fiancé had his phone out, probably ready to call the police if I didn't leave voluntarily. Sarah deserved better than having to deal with her ex-fiancé on what should have been a celebration. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm so sorry for all of it. I know. But sorry doesn't undo the damage. It doesn't give me back the months I spent questioning everything about, wondering what I did wrong, why I wasn't enough to keep faithful. Those words broke something fundamental inside me. Sarah had spent months blaming herself for my betrayal. While I'd been wallowing in self-pity, she'd been wondering if she'd somehow caused me to cheat. It wasn't about we're perfect, we're everything. Then why wasn't I enough? The question came out raw, vulnerable, and I realized she was letting me see pain she'd probably never shown anyone else, not even her fiancé. Because I'm broken, I said quietly. Something inside me is fundamentally broken, and instead of fixing it, I broke too. Sarah wiped her eyes quickly, composing herself. Yes, did break me, but I fixed, and I found someone who would never dream of breaking me again. She looked at her fiancé with such trust, such complete faith, and I knew I was looking at something I'd never have again. Not with her, not with anyone, because how do trust someone with that kind of love when I've already proven I'll destroy it? Please go, she said softly. Please just go and let me be happy. I left, took an Uber home because I wasn't gonna risk anyone else's along with my own. The next morning, I woke on my couch still wearing yesterday's clothes, head pounding, completely disgusted with. I'd hit a new low and I dragged Sarah down into it with me. That's when I finally understood what Maya had meant about Sarah pitying me. I'd become someone worthy of pity, a cautionary tale about what happens when choose ego over integrity, when prioritize feeling special over being trustworthy. I called a therapist that day. Not because I thought it would win Sarah back or fix what I'd broken, but because I couldn't keep living as the kind of person who shows at his ex-fiancé's door and makes her engagement about his own loss. The therapist asked me a question during our first session that I couldn't answer. What kind of man do you want to be? I'd spent so much time focused on what I'd lost, what Sarah had taken from me, what I was missing out on, that I'd never asked who I actually wanted to become. I don't know, I admitted. Then that's where we start. Therapy was brutal, week after week of examining every selfish choice, every moment I'd prioritized my feelings over Sarah's well-being, every lie I'd told to justify the unjustifiable. I learned that the cheating wasn't the disease, it was just a symptom. The real problem was deeper, an inability to handle discomfort without making it someone else's problem, a need for external validation that made me vulnerable to anyone who offered it, a fundamental selfishness that disguised itself as victimhood. 6 months into therapy, I wrote Sarah one final letter, not to send, but to process what I'd put her through. I wrote about the woman who'd loved me unconditionally for 4 years, who'd supported my career and celebrated my successes and planned a future with me. I wrote about how she'd tried to connect with my difficult family, how she'd asked about my day every single evening, how she'd trusted me completely even when I was lying to her face. I wrote about the moment she found Emma's number and how she'd folded in on herself like I'd shattered her from the inside out, how she'd asked, why, in that broken whisper, and how I'd had no answer that wasn't just another form of selfishness. I wrote about watching her rebuild herself, find love again, choose to trust someone new despite what I'd done to her faith in relationships. And I wrote about the man I wanted to become, someone who would never make his pain another person's problem, someone who could handle disappointment without betraying the people who loved him, someone worthy of the kind of trust Sarah had given me and I'd destroyed. I burned that letter too, but writing it changed something. For the first time in over a year, I wasn't thinking about what I'd lost, I was thinking about what I needed to build. It's been 18 months now since Sarah left. She got married 3 months ago. I didn't go to the wedding obviously, but I saw the pictures on mutual friends' social media. She looked radiant, genuinely happy, surrounded by people who loved her. Her dress was beautiful. Her smile was real. Her new husband looked at her like she was the most precious thing in the world. Everything I should have given her and never did. I'm not writing this for sympathy or forgiveness or second chances that I don't deserve. I'm writing it as a warning to anyone who thinks they can have their cake and eat it too. Who thinks they can betray someone's trust and still keep their love. Can't. When cheat, don't just lose partner, lose. Become someone who chose momentary validation over lasting love, someone who prioritized feeling special over being trustworthy, someone who broke the person who trusted them most. And even if do the work, even if get therapy and examine choices and swear to do better, still have to live with the knowledge of who were when it mattered most. Have to live knowing that someone loved completely, and it wasn't enough to keep faithful. Sarah's sister was right. The problem wasn't Sarah not appreciating me or my family not recognizing my achievements or Emma being more exciting than my relationship. The problem was something broken inside me that chose betrayal when things got uncomfortable, that needed external validation more than it valued the love I already had. Some have asked in the comments if I've dated anyone since Sarah. The answer is no. Not because I'm still hung on her, she's married and happy and deserves that happiness, but because I refuse to inflict the person I was on someone new until I'm absolutely certain I've become someone different. Maybe someday I'll be worthy of someone's complete trust again. Maybe someday I'll meet someone who makes me want to be the kind of partner Sarah deserved and I failed to be, but that's not my focus right now. Right now I'm focused on becoming someone I can respect, someone whose choices align with his values, someone who would never destroy something beautiful just because his ego got bruised at a family party. The hardest part isn't losing Sarah. The hardest part is looking in the mirror and seeing someone capable of that level of betrayal. Someone who could lie to the person he loved most for weeks without losing sleep over it. Sarah gets to forget about me eventually. She gets to build with someone who won't betray her trust, someone who chooses her every single day. But I have to live with what I did forever. I have to live knowing that when someone loved me unconditionally, I traded that love for a few weeks of feeling important to a stranger who forgot my name the moment the excitement wore off.